3 rounds of discussion with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from a Zoom call in Columbia, South Carolina, Matthew, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. And his opponent from a Zoom call in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel, aka the Executioner. Take it away, Matthew.
Introduction. Hello, everyone. This is episode number 86 of At Odds with the Unbreakable Spirit.
I'm the Executioner, Daniel Trevor.
Yes, I am the Unbreakable Spirit. As per usual, let's run through the topics.
Topic number 1.
The Women's Tag Team Title Unification Stupidity.
Topic number 2.
A new rule to the Money to Bank ladder match.
Topic number 3.
We're finally going to cover all that bloodline drama that's been going on. But let's hop into topic 1 before we get the second topic even. I start this week, so I fucking hate it. The women's tag team title is being unified is stupid.
Yeah, my personal take is I completely agree with you. And I have a different reason. Here's my reason. It makes absolutely no goddamn motherfucking sense for the WWE and NXT tag team titles to be unified. I would be more okay because, quite frankly, and I'm just being honest, you're just basically giving the women of both Raw and SmackDown less fucking championships to go after.
Well, you mean the women of NXT?
Both.
They're the one losing the title.
Oh yeah, true. But
Because
either
keep in
way,
mind, it's gonna be Isla Dawn and Alba Fire versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler.
right. But still, my point exactly is that I would rather, if I could change something of this absolute stupidity, I would rather have the WWE create a new single women's title. And now I don't give a shit if they reuse something from if they redesign the North American Championship or some dumb shit like that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, but when I will say this, and I'm not defending it or anything. The NXT Women's Tag Team title to the WWE Women's Champions never showing up on NXT.
Yeah, because the original plan was for it to be a triple brand championship. But that never happened.
Bayley and Sasha showed up in NXT once as WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
And I'm gonna be honest, and this is another take of mine here, but personal take here is that I really have felt that I'm glad Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey are women's tag team champions in my honest opinion. But however, I honestly believe that the women's tag team division
They need more women to build up a tag team division.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That's the fucking problem. You don't have enough women's tag teams.
Yeah, because that's what makes this unification thing even stupid. And better question, what the hell the titles gonna look like? The unified titles.
I don't even want. We talked about our disdain for unified titles last week. Listen to that and all our other episodes.
But it's just like, look, don't get me wrong. I don't mind, and I'm gonna get this out of the open. I don't mind title unifications if the shit makes sense.
But this does not.
Exactly. Like the whole undisputed Universal Championship. I'm gonna use for an example. That made sense. This does not.
Yeah.
Like another example, when when Carmelo Hayes defeated Roderick Strong to unify that with the cruiserweight title. Admittedly, the only dumb thing about that is that the Carmelo Hayes didn't get a new title for that,
Yeah, I think the only thing that changed is the Cruiserweight title got a black strap.
or got retired.
Yeah, after the black strap.
Right. But it's because in my personal opinion, no, you know what? I'm not gonna say it. What's your thoughts about this stupidity?
Honestly, why didn't Alpha Fire and Isla Dawn vacate the titles when they got called up?
I don't know, but I have
Eddie
another
Hermo
title.
had to, admittedly because she was injured, but still.
Yeah, okay, and here's another problem with this title unification. It's on a random ass episode of SmackDown.
Yes, the bane of any tag team unification.
Yeah, because
Pay-per-view is gonna happen as of this recording in like 3 weeks from
no,
Friday on a random episode of SmackDown.
it's literally gonna. Actually, no, it literally would have had. It literally would have happened to, the day of the recording.
Well,
But still, the point that I am making with that is, does everyone remember when the undisputed tag team, when they did the tag team unification that was supposed to be at WrestleMania Backlash, but
nope, it
instead,
happened on an episode of SmackDown.
exactly. If you're gonna do a championship unification, and this is just, I want to get this out of my system. If you're gonna do a championship unification, do it on a pay per view, but have a legitimately fucking good reason of why these championships are, having a winner take all match. Whether if it's part of a storyline, whether you want to add more shit, but it's just, and if you're gonna do
This
it,
is neither. This is because Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are prize fighters, basically, and they want shiny things. If you want to have a big marquee match like this, you
put that money in the bank.
premium live event happening in London in July.
Yeah,
This is the problem. We could build up to this match. We could build up to the match happening in London, but is WWE gonna do that?
no,
No, because WWE logic is no logic whatsoever.
yeah. Which, when you say that a lot, is just dumb.
We'll be back with the other topic. We're not going to stop talking about stupidity unification things. Hell, that could be a greenhouse topic at some point.
Alright, bye. We'll be
We'll
back.
be back with.
Hello, we are back with topic number 2 with the new Money in the Bank rule, or the rule that honestly makes the Money in the Bank winner a lot more unpredictable.
I like to call it the theory rule because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, because
The bank
in
cannot
case
be
you
used
forgot,
for mid-card championships.
I mean, it also, because if you think about it, it also kind of elevates those two championships because because Theory kind of failed to cash in the Money in the Bank on Seth
Funny enough,
Rollins.
this was an option in the 2K video games before it was in real life.
Really? Which one?
The mid-card titles. I'm not joking. At one point, Roman Reigns was both the world champion and Mr. Money in the Bank. And I didn't realize that. I was wondering, why is it asking if Roman wants to cash in on the US Championship? He later lost to Undertaker and then cashed in.
Cool. But my thought is this. Um, I think that with how long both people are champion, it does kind of make just kind of also proves, in my opinion, that no champion is safe. But it's just this is just another take of mine. It's just I would rather have somebody cash in on Austin Theory rather than Gunther, and I have a reason for that. My reason is because I want Gunther to break Honky Tonk Man's record.
Yeah. Which
Which,
apparently Honky Tonk Man is like not the Intercontinental champion. Apparently there's like one longer than him. But yeah,
yeah,
Gunther's coming up close to breaking Honky Tonk Man's 64-week title reign.
I mean, because he has now been champion for a year now.
Yeah, which means he only has 13 weeks before breaking it. Less than that, since he passed 365 a few weeks ago.
Days ago.
Days ago, whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's just my honest take on this. What's your honest take on this big car rule?
I'm surprised it wasn't a thing earlier in the lifespan of the Money in the Bank briefcase.
And why do you say that?
Because it was never said whenever the rules were being explained like WWE likes to do that they had to cash in on a world title. The Money in the Bank guarantees you a title match whenever you want for up to 365, 366 days if it's a leap year.
Yeah, but it's because and this is just another take here, but it's just when WWE says that, are they just referring? Are they just referring to like the actual year? Or are they referring to the next time Money in the Bank is around?
Um, I think it's I think it has to do when the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is on. I don't think it has to do with the calendar year. I think it has to do with the WWE PLE calendar year.
Okay, random take here, but it's just and because you brought this up that I feel needs to be talked about is didn't you say that it's just whoever wins the Money in the Bank? It's didn't you say that it's just whoever wins it? It's gonna be kind of obvious on what title they're gonna cash in on. But
Uh,
now with this,
well,
what?
okay, yeah, yes, I will admit that, but that was before the rule implemented. But it is my statement still stands. Because of the brand split, the men's Money in the Bank will go to Raw or SmackDown, and they'll have two title options. The women's, whoever wins that, it'll either go to Raw or SmackDown, and they'll still have one title option.
Yeah, but it's just if I win the Money in the Bank, if you won Money in the Bank and you were on SmackDown, your logical option would be, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go after Roman Reigns. Fuck no.
So
I'm
then you
gonna.
would go after A-Town Down.
Oh, I mean, okay, if he was a babyface, yes.
Fair enough. Then you would have to ask for a transfer, but you don't really have any good options there either.
No, that's just my take. Is just the whole Money in the Bank, adding the mid card titles. I honestly, like I said, I think it sort of elevates those two championships. Honestly,
Yeah.
it makes them feel important because for the longest time, those championships have kind of just been a lackluster championship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you got anything you want to
Um, not really. I don't know time on the segment. Now we got like 5 seconds left.
add? All right. Final thoughts is I hope whoever wins the men's Money in the Bank, whoever wins the men or women's Money in the Bank, makes the logical decision. Now, if you're the men guy, the logical decision, if you're on Raw, or even if WWE kind of really does the whole brand split, I don't really know if they are honestly,
I
but
mean, they seem to be adhering to it.
kinda. But it's just the point I'm making is I would rather go out if I'm on Raw, yeah, go after Seth Rollins. But if I'm if I had all these champions, the world title, if I won Money in the Bank and I had the options that were presented to me, and they you take Daniel, who would you want to cash in on? I would rather take Rollins or Theory over Roman.
You'd rather take Rollins or Theory over Roman and Gunther.
Yeah,
And we'll be back with the final topic.
yeah. Is it for that? Because if I try to cash it on Gunther, I would get my chest filleted.
Yeah. Yeah. I still don't like looking at my chest after Gunther Smith with it, but I don't want to lose my appetite. So we'll be back with the third and final topic.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll go with that second one. The recording, I'll be able to hear it on the recording anyways. Anyways, we are back with the final topic. We're finally talking about the bloodline drama.
God damn.
And I've heard rumors of Rikishi's fourth son. How many kids does this man have? Also training to be a wrestler. So I'm just gonna add that food for thought if the bloodline wants another member.
Yeah. But there is also the fact that Umaga-san is also training.
Maybe they become a 5-man stable. Who
I
knows?
mean,
Anyways, into the
God, okay. I'm gonna say this, but like, what's your take on this whole bloodline shit?
for the record, I just want to say I am a sucker for wrestling storytelling, and I love the story that the Bloodline has been telling. That I'm almost sad it seems we're getting into the final bits of it.
If we are, or because like Roman Reigns said at WrestleMania, is that we're only in the third inning.
Yeah, true. But the third inning in this case might be the third act.
true. My, what's your take on this stuff? Honestly,
The story has been going on since the pandemic era of wrestling, and
what is the I would more. I would say it's more started since the Thunderdome.
which was part of the pandemic era because
Yeah.
wrestling fans couldn't be in attendance.
Right.
And it started, as we all know, with Jey Uso
Getting his ass kicked.
to his cousin.
Yeah.
Who had just
But
returned from kicking at Leukemia's ass.
yeah. Okay. But yeah. Yeah. My thoughts on, because I have a lot of thoughts on this, is the first half, because the whole thing, right? Like, I'm more talking about, not the early stages, but what's going on right now with Jey
Well, yeah, I
Uso.
know, but I also want to say that there's been drama in the bloodline since the very beginning, when you think about it.
Yeah, but it's just the shit that they are doing with Jay. Oh, they, you know, 'cause it's interesting with what they're doing with Jimmy, with Jimmy, because Jimmy has been trying to, be the protective older brother, but it's just his younger brother, Solo, is like, yeah, no.
Is Jimmy the oldest out of the three, or is Jimmy the middle child? Because I know the Usos aren't really twins.
Right. But yeah, anyway, so I was like, yeah, no. He's like, yeah, no. But with like the super kick that Jay did to Roman Reigns at Night of Champions was definitely shocking. But it's just with his brother, with Solo portray him and joining forces with Roman permanently, with and now with Jay accidentally getting super kicked and his brother costing him a shot at the United States Championship. This shit just get like,
Yeah, it kind of seems like the enforcer of the bloodline has become Roman's right hand man.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, if I were Roman Reigns, I think I would take. I mean, Solo is a good choice. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
Solo's a hell of a choice, but it's just my thoughts on this whole bloodline shit is this shit has been absolutely great television. This is probably one of the best things that WWE has done, but it's just I believe because what Paul, because what Paul said about Roman Reigns wanting to get him to be the next tribal chief could be true, but there is also the fact,
It's a lie, you can tell.
yeah, but there is also the fact is while his brother was out of action, he was getting main event opportunities, unlike his brother.
Yeah, so Jimmy getting fed up with Roman is kind of accurate. We know Jimmy super kicking Roman was no accident.
No,
He was just like, I'm sick of this shit.
yeah, but it's just
And
Jay
if you were
and
being berated by your cousin, you'd punch him in the face.
yeah, true. But it's just with what's going on with Jay, but with what happened this past Friday, with Jay getting accidental super kicked by his brother and being cost the United States Championship. it does beg the question. Like, it's like, who do you align with? Your brother, or do you align with the guy that you go against, you're gonna get your ass beat?
It really is lose-lose for Jimmy Uso. But I
Then,
guess only time will tell if it hasn't already by this point since we're recording in bulk.
but it's just another personal take of mine with this whole bloodline shit is this shit most likely will set up a match, I feel, between Jimmy and Roman Reigns because I honestly believe that this shit is tied in all the way back to the first two matches of Roman Reigns' historic title reign.
Yeah, I agree, and that's where we're gonna leave it.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to At Odds, hosted by the Unbreakable Spirit,
And the Executioner.
edited by the Unbreakable Spirit. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MTS_life_0126.
You can follow me on Instagram at DanTravis121, and you can also follow me on the Twitter at DanTheExecutioner21.
And you can follow the podcast at Odds Podcast. We'll be back next week with more debates and discussions. But until then, the Executioner and the Unbreakable Spirit will still be at odds.
Thank you, losers.